Good morning to everybody. We are very happy to have with us today Raphaël Vullierme. He is the CEO of Luko. I'm going to introduce very briefly Luko, and then I will tell you guys a little bit about ESCP and why we are hosting this interview with us today. And then we're going to start a list of questions for you. So, Rafael, thank you very much for being with us today. I'm going to briefly introduce your company, just a couple of lines, but you will have time to elaborate on that. So, Luko is a disruptive insurance company that builds on artificial intelligence and brings Proptech in terms of home security and house paying electricity bills. It seems very disruptive, and Raphael is gonna tell us a little bit more about his company as well as his experience when founding this company. So a little bit, Raphael, about us at ESCP. We launched a Master of Science in Real Estate. This talk is in part for our students. We have 35 students at ESCP taking also Proptech courses in addition to other courses, and they're very interested in Proptech. At the end, I'm going to ask you like if you have advice for our students, but also we have followers that in social media. So the idea is that we want to basically get to know successful entrepreneurs like you are. So Raphael, let's start with some questions for today. I was looking at your CV, and it's really impressive.
You printed it.
I printed it, and the first two questions is about your beginnings, because keep in mind that in our audience we have young and talented people that are going to see you as a role model. So I think they are going to find this very interesting. So let's start with your education. You have a Master of Science in Industrial Engineering, a program in Business Administration Management Operations, and a Master in Entrepreneurship. So with all that, when did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so hello everyone, and thanks for having me. It's a very good question. So I did first in engineering school, and I was not really into becoming an entrepreneur, but I just saw a presentation for the entrepreneurship track at HEC at that time, and said, okay, this is actually something that will talk to me, that I will be really passionate about it, and that basically put a small seed into my brain. It was not something I was, okay, for sure in my life I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but it was something, okay, this attracts me, and I think I have the right skill sets, and I'm someone very passionate, so I mean, this will fit with me. And then I actually did that program, and the more I was in that program, the more obvious it was for me that I needed to actually start a company. As you can see, you printed my resume. It hasn't been like a highway, so it's Luko is actually my third company. I've learned a lot from the two first ones that were like kind of failure, and then it's a process. So entrepreneurship, the way I see it, it's really like a other job. You get better and better the more you're doing it. If you have, I mean, failure is not a goal itself, but having previous experience allow you to recognize a lot of pattern, and basically the better you are, the more you work on a job, the better you become. And entrepreneurship is definitely one of those categories that you need to start one day, and the more you do it, you become better, basically.
Yeah, and let's talk exactly about that. Like in January 2014, you co-founded Good Food app. In August 2014, you launched Eat First, and then which is a venture is venture worldwide. And then August 2015, you were the CEO of OpenJet. December 2016, you co-founded Luko. So yeah, it's really impressive. And I'm just wondering, can you tell us like if you have any specific skills or any experience when you were a child that provoked you to do all this in such a short time?
Yeah, I mean, so on paper, this looks very potentially impressive. The reality is this was a very bumpy road. So you can see it as a following of success, or you can see it as a following of bump. And so the true story behind this is I actually started Good Food when I was still at HEC and was like kind of a vertically integrated food delivery. So kind of Glovo plus the dark kitchen. So we were integrating the delivery and the food production, and we were doing all this in the app. And we basically started working this as a student, doing some tests. So I was driving scooter just to make sure logistically it worked. We were hiring a chef and just trying this with our campus friend, and then starting to roll it out a bit more. And when we were about to raise a lot of money, my co-founder, she decided to stop for personal reason. It's a very operational business when you have to manage driver, kitchen, porter. Like basically, you have no nights, no weekends. It's always on, and we decided to go sideways. And at that moment, I heard that Rocket Internet, which is it used to be a German startup studio who launched Zalando, Foodora, Lazada, who got acquired by Alibaba later, and so on. They were actually starting the same business I was starting, and I heard this and said, okay, I should actually join those guys. They have a lot more money than me. They also have a lot of resources, and that was the Eat First that we launched in London and in Berlin, and I was supposed to launch in 15 countries in a year. And so it was more like a failure turned into a progress to something else. It was the same idea, same business with different structure. And then this didn't go as expected in terms of business and so on. And then, okay, so, okay, this business is not going to go anywhere. I need to do something else. And that's when I took over OpenJet. So it's not like everything was a success and then it achieved me to the next one. It was much more, okay, I need to find the right thing, and I was moving quite fast towards that.
Yeah, and actually that's a very good, I think, advice also for our students. Like you soon expect always a success story, and you learn, and then you progress, and going backwards and then forward. Now I have here a question for you that now Luko is an insurance company, is disrupting insurance company. So why this is different from a traditional insurance company?
Yeah. So what is important to understand Luko is to start for why we started Luko and what we're trying to build. And we never started Luko saying, okay, insurance company are old and they suck, and we're gonna reinvent insurance. This is not how it started. We started Luko because we saw there were a lot of data available around homes. I can go more deeper, like smart meters, satellite imagery, smart home. You really have a lot of data now available on homes, and it's a trend that is continue to grow exponentially. And then you also at the same time the beginning of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so the very basic rationale of Luko was if we can access to data around homes and we know how to analyze it, we can create value for the home occupant to reduce their risk, reduce their energy footprint. So it was a really user-centric approach on how we help people have safer and greener homes using AI. And that's why we started Luko. And it's also because my co-founder was researching in that field and so on. And then on that way, we started working with traditional insurer. So we actually been 3 months in Spain. We work with Mapfre in Spain. We work with Allianz, AXA in France, Direct Line in the UK. And after working with traditional insurer, we say, okay, it's terrible. It's not going to happen. Those guys are super far from the customer, super slow in terms of innovation in technology. And then we say, okay, if we want to succeed in our bigger vision, we need to reinvent an insurance company. And so, yeah, we never wake up one day and say we need to reinvent insurance. It was okay. We're facing a wall now. It's not going to happen if we work with insurer. Let's build our own insurer. It's a bit bullish, but at the same time, it was much easier. Like once we decided to do the decision, everything was super fast and super. It was much easier as an entrepreneur to face the big market that already exists and to be better than legacy player than to try to reinvent everything more or less at the same time.
And this is the perfect example of a Proptech startup, because you are using technology to disrupt the market. So you mentioned like that you are using some technologies. Can you elaborate a little bit which technologies are helping you to become better? Like, I mean, at the end, I think this translates into data, as you said, but which are those technologies that you use?
So what is important to understand, traditional player in insurance, but in every industry more generally, I've been losing the ability to really innovate technology-wise for decades now. So in my first experience as my first internship was working for Accenture, and I was doing a mission for AXA. And so I saw with my own eyes how AXA was actually developing technology. And the way it works is you have consultants that work with consultant, and then the guy who's actually writing the line of code is generally in India, and there is like 15% between the guy who has a need and the guy who is producing the thing. And this creates a lot of heaviness, a lot of cost, a lot of inefficiency, and a lot of frustration also along the way. And it's the case for all big insurance company. When you look at their business, it's only data processing. Like insurance is quite basic. You have data, you assess risk with those data, and then you assess risk better than the computer. So normally you have more margin. And of course you need branding and distribution, and this is how you get your customer. But the fundamental industrial layer to insurance is data. But those companies which are basically could consider that only IT company are terrible at doing just IT, what they call IT. And so we knew before we started that if you know how to use the latest technology, hire smarter people and retain them and make them more happy at your company, then you have an unfair advantage. So we don't have completely rocket science technology. So we do use machine learning a lot for everything. We do build our own software from scratch internally, so we go way faster. There's no completely crazy thing in terms of technology. We just do it very fast at the right moment, and we have very good product manager, designer, and so on that know how to use technology at the best. And it's quite similar to the guys are doing in banking and so on. Like fundamentally, there is no complete breakthrough technologically. There's just a way better way to use those technologies. So we do use a lot of machine learning, a lot of things, but every company now are doing more or less the same technology we're using.
And about exactly what you are saying now, so do you collaborate with other Proptech companies that provide you the technology so that you then gather data using then artificial intelligence, or do you created your own technology?
No, so
Proptech.
What is important to understand around data and machine learning, or what's called AI, is actually the algorithm is quite a commodity. So do great algorithm is not hard. What is hard is acquiring the right data and have access to the right data. So the value is not on basically doing the good algorithm, it's to have the perfect data. And to get the data, you can try to get it on your own. So for example, we use satellite imagery, and then we analyze it to know if you have a swimming pool, or if you have I don't know, cars around your home, trees that can fall on your home, or something like this. So we do get this analyzing satellite imagery. We don't have our own satellites, so we buy that satellite imagery. And then we also partner with a lot of players. So we partner with in France with Meilleurs Agents, which is kind of Zillow, which is like a real estate listing marketplace. We partner with with a lot of different people who have data on homes. So it can be like our reinsurer, so guys that are actually helping us to carry. They also have a lot of data about natural disaster risk, and they have some model around this. I cannot give all our data sources, but we do partner with a lot of companies to access to the right data and change it.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk about fundraising, which is another very passionate, right? Is you go and we know that in December 2020, you got 50 million euros of Series B funding led by EQT Ventures. Can you tell us how like very basic, how you went to the meeting room, what was the speech, how you were successful in raising the money, more informal than the
So it kind of sounds very weird, and I remember a few years ago when I was on campus hearing some entrepreneurs telling me this, but there is actually really a lot of money now in the market, even more than when I was a student. Like every VC are raising incredibly big fund. You really have too much money. Like it's probably a bubble, and the question is when and how fast it will reduce. But there is very big amount of capital. And as an entrepreneur, it's your job to understand this and to leverage this. And so a lot of money means a lot of competition between VC. And actually, you have a lot of power as an entrepreneur to basically get the best VC competing to join your company. And it's your job to basically create the best condition for that competition to happen. And so you can have the best condition, basically. And so my strategy to this, and I'm a bit extreme to this, and we'll have to update it for next round because it's applied at quite early stage when we have some number but not too much number, and so people don't need to have too much time to analyze your company. But it's basically you create a lot of relationship on a 3-month basis. You like all the big VC and all the VC that can potentially invest into your company. Their job is to find you. So they will reach out to you. You don't need to go to them. They will reach out if you're a good company and someone talks positively about you. Their job is to meet all companies like you, and they meet thousands of companies a year. So anyway, they will come to you and they will say, hey, I'm blah blah blah. Can you talk? And then you do that first intro call. You explain what you're doing. You give some number, but not too much, and then they know who you are, what you're doing, what are your ambitions for the year, and so they put a line, a dot on their CRM. And then after 3 months, if it's a good VC, you potentially will be interesting to work with. You do an update call, and so they have a second point, and hopefully maybe they have a third point. And so they see in 3 months how they've been evaluating. And VC are not investing in one point. They really need a trend. At least they can invest in one point if there's incredibly mass competition and what you do is completely unique and crazy. But to maximize your chance, you need to give them 2 or 3 dots so they know you're executing well. They know you're doing what you're saying, and you're not just a good seller. And then once we have done this for 10, 20 VC, you really know they're good competitors for the next round, and you probably want to work with them. You're gonna tell them, okay, at this stage, I'm gonna start fundraising. I mean, this is the way I do. Like, people do it differently, but this is how I do. Say, okay, starting, I don't know, in 2 weeks, Monday, I'm gonna be in London. You're gonna be able to meet me from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. p.m. I'm gonna be fully available, and the data room is there. And then you have 2 weeks to do a term sheet. And if you don't do it, I'm not gonna wait. It's okay. And you need to be confident you're gonna have other guys. But this way, you actually prepare everyone to put their brain in and take a decision, and people and VC talk between them. So they know you're fundraising, they know all the competitors are looking at you, and that's a great kind of what's called FOMO. So the fear of missing out has really helped to create a big one. Of course, it's not, by doing this, you raise a great funding round, you need to have a good company and great fundamental, but that really helps to create the momentum. And as an entrepreneur, I'm quite convinced that you create probably as much value like executing and as much value just fundraising. Fundraising is really, it's a short moment of time, but it's a moment to create insane amount of value for your company. So you better to do it very seriously. And so one of the things you need to do beyond the timing is prepare a very, very good data room. So you have a deck that presents your vision, but you also provide a quite extended data room so they can assess, put their analysis on it, crunch the number, and really have a good idea.
That's great, and I appreciate you being so open about this. This is probably one of the most interesting parts that our students probably will like, your experience in fundraising. Thank you very much for that. Now, I would also like to talk about when you partner with like traditional large insurance companies. So again, like in a very informal way, how do you approach them? You say, hey, this is me, this is my project, let's do this. So how is this first approach to those big companies?
So to set it clear, we're not anymore working with traditional insurance company. We have reinsurers that carry a risk, but it's quite similar. How when you basically no one approach big guys and try to work with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a very good question, and I mean, basically all big corporate in insurance or beyond now have innovation team, and their job of innovation team is actually to meet with what's happening on the market, startup, blah, blah. As soon as you have just an email address and a small website, and you look not too stupid, and maybe from an alumni of ESCP, you can reach out to someone. I mean, you will get meetings, you will be able to present yourself. What is challenging is when you are 1, 2, 3, maybe 5-person company, you're trying to work with a few billions dollar company. Honestly, it generally don't work. So you can lose an entrepreneur a lot of time trying to make those guys move, because the innovation team or the guy you see in front of you, their job is to meet you, is to talk to you, is to discover what you're doing. And that's it. I mean, they're doing their job, and basically they're paid to talk to you. For you to succeed and to live and to don't die as a startup, you don't need to talk to people. You need to do real business, and you need to make revenue, and you need to have deals and things like this. But it's not really their job to sign deals. I mean, of course, they will do some deals because they need to innovate sometime, but only talking to you is already part of that job. It's the same actually for VC, and that's why it's important to don't spend too much time to talking to VC, because a lot of guys are paid to just talk to you. And so you can think, okay, they're talking to me, they're interested in to me. Yeah, probably they're interested in what you're doing to learn, but you can spend a lot of time educating a lot of person. And so it's important, you're not a professor and you're not paid to educate people. So you need to be also very sharp in, okay, I am just educating someone not very smart about my industry and what I'm doing, or I am really trying to close a business. And you need to be quite truthful to yourself. Is there a way to do a true business with them, or I'm just the exotic, cool startup guys that are gonna help a very bad, very big corporate, not really good at innovation, to understand the world of today? And the honest answer is there is very few examples of tiny, like immature startup when you're 4 or 5 achieving to work with billion-dollar company. It probably exists, but I haven't met a lot of teams being able to do this. So you need to also to be truthful to yourself. Are you mature enough as a company to propose a real deal to a very large company? Maybe you should start with SMB, which are more your size and it's easier to work with. Maybe you need to know what is missing to you to get to the level you can really collaborate with those large companies. So to sum up my answer, the prime is not to get a meeting. The prime is to really start doing business, and what is the blocker to really start being business is be quite honest to what is your size, what is the size of this company, understand how this company works. And generally, this company work with a lot of departments, a lot of complexity. Are you already able to do that complexity? In the case of Luko, we were doing some hardware with artificial intelligence, and we need to iterate a lot on the product as a B2B2C company with the insurer. But we needed to iterate it with the C customer. So we need a lot of C customer, and we need to have direct access to them. So what we did beyond talking to insurer, we also started the e-commerce website, and we are selling our product directly to consumer, not because this was our business model, but because having access to end user and improve our product within end user was critical to actually later be able to push something to larger company. That was an answer, and we also at some point say, okay, this is probably the good way, but this way is too slow. So we will never actually achieve to make a big deal with AXA or whatever. And when we will be in situation to do a big deal with AXA, maybe it's going to be Bosch and Accenture that are going to do the exact same deal with AXA, because I know how to sell to a very large company, and this is not our skill set, and to get there, it's going to take a lot of time. So let's not try this business model, and let's try a different one, which we're starting our own insurance company. So yeah, you can lose a lot of time trying to fight for the wrong model, and you need to learn really fast on what is the right model and the right customer.
Yeah, that's great. And now you are operating mainly in France. You have more than 100,000 insured homes. It's a beautiful market, and you may want to expand to Europe. Is this the case? And what are your forecasting in terms of that? Because it's a huge market. It's 100 billion euros market.
Yeah. So yes, we are expanding to 2 countries this year. I was actually in Madrid last week to walk to the direction. I cannot say if we are going to Spain or not, but we're actively working on expanding to new countries in Europe. We actually have a position open to lead that part. Yes, and I cannot tell you right now where I'm going next, but we're going.
Okay, yeah, well, so good luck with that. Now, a little bit more about transparency. I've been reading a lot about your company, and I mean, it seems that transparency is a hallmark or one of your main values. Also, you do some payments to charities. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So insurance is a very, very complex product for the consumer, and it's also quite boring. And we are very fine with this. This is the truth, so it's okay. And the problem is you ask people to basically pay a price, but they cannot understand that price. Like there's so much variable that goes into your insurance price that as a consumer you always have the feeling that you're paying a price you don't really understand why, and then when you have an accident, no one is here to help you, and basically it's a very frustrating business model for the consumer. And one of the big reasons is opacity, and the business model of every traditional insurer is quite easy. It's like you pay them on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, and when you have a problem, normally they help you. And the money they make is the difference between what you pay them and what they don't pay you back into claims. And by doing this, every time they have a claim, they're in a kind of schizophrenic situation. Either they do some profits and basically deny your claim, say, okay, I keep this money for me because this is how they make money, or either they pay you and basically do their job. And so they're always in the situation, do I make my customer happy or do I make money? And that's a very, very bad alignment of interest because every company is here to make money. So basically doing their job well and making a lot of money means screwing their customer if you really push that very far. And that this element of interest is fundamental in the lack of trust, the frustration of the consumer in that industry. So at Luko, we took a completely different model. We say the amount of money that goes into Luko pocket is fixed, and it's at every beginning of the year, 30% of the premium goes to Luko pocket, and we use it to manage claim, pay customer service, develop the technology, I mean, to basically do our job. And the 70% only goes to the pocket of our insurer. So we pay claims when you have a problem. And when there's money left over in that pool, we give it to the charities the insurer have chosen. And the very powerful thing of that is we are not going to make money by denying claims. So it's like kind of cap our greediness. To make more money, we need to be more efficient. We don't need to screw our customer, basically. And the end user, if they basically exaggerate or if they fraud, they're not going to fraud Luko, they're going to fraud the NGO they've chosen. And this creates a very good alignment of interest. No one wants to screw a Red Cross or whatever, but screwing the big capital without failess, which is kind of also screwing you, it's kind of very vicious cycle. So by doing what we call the give back, it's allows us to get out of that vicious cycle, put a lot of transparency, a lot of trust, and people just behave better and we behave better, and it's a win-win for everyone. And at the end, the price are also more competitive because a lot of people exaggerate less and fraud less, and this is just a very virtuous cycle to get back to the basic of insurance, which is you put some people together, when someone have a problem, you help him, and that's the basic of insurance.
That's a great way to put that, and I very much enjoyed when you were explaining the trade-off between the company's profit and the customer satisfaction, and that's a smart way to deal with this conflict of interest. Last question for you. We have, as you know, our students, many of them have great ideas. They may want to enter in the Proptech world with whatever is their idea. So what is your advice for them? So they may have just an idea or there might be in a very preliminary stage. So would you advise them to work a little bit more so that they have some resource and they can show to venture capitalists, or anyway, any advice for them about this world?
So I mean, I don't think it's very specific to Proptech. It's more like a technology entrepreneurship, I would say. I mean, this is what I know. I don't know if I'm a Proptech expert. I know probably a bit about tech entrepreneurship. I mean, the most important thing is to get to market as fast as you can and get customer feedback. So real people paying for your services, and make sure actually there's anyone willing to pay for your services. Is it B2B, is it B2C? It doesn't really matter, but go as fast as you can to the market and get a market feedback loop, because this is how you learn. This is the same approach we have when we actually want to enter a new country. Of course, we do very good consultants work and we look at market size and everything. But at the end, we just try to go really fast to market, get some user, get feedback, iterate on this. And as an entrepreneur, this is really your feedback. So I will not spend any time trying to raise money and so on. Maybe if you need just a little bit of money to start, try to convince your friends, your family, or whatever. Like just find just enough money so you can have maybe someone helping you to do I don't know, codes or an intern or whatever. But really go as fast as you can to the market. There's also a very big trend now, which is called no code. So you can actually, without being a developer, start doing a product and basically just with like business student skills, you can do things. And this is something we've used at the beginning of Luko. I was pushing. So my co-founder was his engineer. He codes very well and he's our CTO, but I didn't want him to use it on useless stuff. So I was actually doing a lot of no codes to do our e-commerce or something like this. So you can really now get really fast to markets, do a small product and learn from it. You're not necessarily going to be successful as the first one, but I think it's really okay. It's a process and it's a learning process. And what can help also is at some time to work in a good technology scale up, so not too big, like probably post Series B with the 8, what is Luko now. You will be into a company that have a lot of processes in terms of how you innovate, how you ship product to the market, how you learn about customer, how you acquire customer. And having learned this with really potentially good people will also allow you to have a very good framework when it comes to customer acquisition, B2B sales or whatever. So what has been really helpful in my journey is spending 1 year at Rocket Internet, which was something large that had put a lot of framework and resources on how you scale company. I learned tons there, and then when I was launching Luko, I was just twice faster or 3 times faster than our competitors, because I've seen what going fast looks like, what learning how market works looks like, and it's also important sometimes to be in great company. So the ideal way, I mean, this was my way. Probably there's a lot of different ones, but be an entrepreneur, try, know how to sell, to convince people and so on, and then potentially learn into a bit more mature company. What is it to execute? And then when you have this, you're set for success, basically.
Extraordinary. Raphaël Vullierme, thank you so much. CEO of Luko, very energetic person. We are really impressed. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for being so open. This is exactly what the students want, to basically tell your experience and how you see things. We very much appreciate your time. And anyway, we want to keep it very short, as I told you at the very beginning. I think we got it. It was a great interview. So thank you and the best luck with all your endeavors.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day, everyone. And thanks for having me, Jaime.
Thank you so much, Raphaël. It was a pleasure. Thank you.